Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to our deep dive. This is where we take the stack of sources you've sent us, articles, notes, whatever you have, and we really dig in.
Yeah, we pull out the key stuff for you.
Exactly. And today, based on the material you provided, our mission is exploring international document authentication, specifically that process called the apostille.
Right. Think about it. You've got, say, your marriage certificate right here. But how do you make that valid if you need it, I don't know, in France or Japan?
Your sources definitely point to this challenge. How does a document, maybe a university transcript, maybe something more complex like a power of attorney, get recognized overseas?
It sounds complicated, maybe a bit intimidating.
It really does, like a bureaucratic maze.
Yeah.
But looking through your sources, it seems there are ways through it. Even specialized services designed to make it easier.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing.
So we're going to pull out those crucial details for you right now.
Okay.
So let's start at the beginning. The core concept in your sources. What exactly is an apostille? Why does this thing even exist?
Well, fundamentally, it's all about authenticating documents for international use. The term you see pop up a lot is Hague Convention Apostille.
Hague Convention. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically an international agreement.
Yeah. Lots
of countries signed on, agreeing to a simplified way to certify documents so they recognize each other's paperwork.
Okay, so it's like a common language for document verification, cutting through maybe more complex old-school legalization steps.
Exactly. It streamlines things.
So what's the actual purpose of getting this apostille stamp or certificate or whatever it is?
Well, its job is to certify the origin of the public document. It verifies the signature and or the seal of the person who issued or notarized your original document. Think like a notary public or maybe a county clerk or a state official.
Okay.
Crucially, it doesn't guarantee the actual content of the document is true.
Right.
But it confirms the authority of the signature or seal on it is legitimate within the issuing country. That makes it ready for use in other countries that are part of that Hague Treaty.
Got it. So you're verifying the verifier, basically, but for an international audience.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
This sounds like something you might not need often, though. So based on your sources, what are the actual situations where someone like, you listening might run into needing this?
The sources highlight some pretty significant life events, actually. Planning a destination wedding, for example. That comes up.
Okay, I can see that.
Or if you're making a bigger move, relocating to another country for work or just to live there.
Right, and I saw mentions, too, for studying abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Or handling legal matters across borders.
Definitely. Education, legal stuff.
Right.
The material uses phrases like, for your global endeavors, or your journey across borders.
Kind of broad, but it makes sense.
It really ties into any situation where your official status, your identity, needs to be formally recognized in another country.
Okay. And that brings us to the documents themselves. What kinds of papers are we actually talking about here? Your sources listed quite a few.
They did. It's a pretty wide range.
It's not just, say, birth certificates, although those are definitely there. Birth, marriage, death certificates, those seem like the core personal ones.
Absolutely. Foundational documents.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes broader than maybe you'd expect. The sources mention things like FBI background checks.
Okay.
Social Security benefit statements.
University transcripts, too.
Yeah.
Which makes sense for studying abroad. And then business documents, articles of incorporation, things like that.
Right.
And this one surprised me a little. Utility bills.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
I wouldn't have immediately thought of that. But I guess if you need proof of address overseas for something official.
That's likely the reason. It really shows that the need isn't just for government-issued vital records. It can be other documents required for specific purposes abroad, depending on what that country asks for.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got the what apostille, the why international use, and the which documents, a whole range. Now here's where, looking at your sources, it gets really interesting. How does a specific service, the one mentioned a lot, Apostille Depot, how do they claim to simplify this whole thing?
Well, the core message that comes through is all about promising precision and speed. They talk about making it a seamless, worry-free process.
Mm-hmm.
Basically positioning themselves as the experts who handle all the tricky bits for you.
So instead of you trying to figure out, which Secretary of State office handles this or what the specific form is for your state.
Exactly that. They lean heavily on their experience. They mention having over a decade doing this, making it simple and fast. Elsewhere, it mentions decades of team experience.
Suggests they've seen a lot of different scenarios.
Presumably, yeah. They know the potential roadblocks, the different state requirements.
And they operate across the U.S., right? I
Yeah.
saw something about nationwide reach.
Yes, nationwide reach across all 50 states. That's key, meaning they can handle documents originating from anywhere in the U.S.,
Okay.
but they also mention combining that with local convenience because they have a physical office base.
In Tewksbury, Massachusetts, I saw the address.
That's the one, 1215 Main St., Unit 115, Tewksbury, MA 01876.
Okay. Now, often getting the apostille itself is just one piece of the puzzle. Do the sources say if this service, Apostille Depot, offers other related things you might need?
They do, yeah. It's not just the apostille. They explicitly mention offering Massachusetts notary public services.
Which is often step one, right? Before you can even get the apostille.
Often, yes.
Mhm.
Many documents need to be notarized first. And then something else potentially really important, translation.
Ah, right. If the document's going to a country where English isn't the main language.
Exactly. They highlight offering certified and notarized translation services. And they say for 120 international languages.
Wow, okay. Certified and notarized translation.
Yeah, so the translation is professionally vouched for accuracy, and then the notary adds that official stamp. That covers requirements from many foreign places.
That sounds like they're trying to be a one-stop shop, covering several potential hurdles.
Seems like the goal.
What about making the process itself easy for the user? Like faster? Your sources mention speed.
Right. They list features for that.
Great.
Things like expedited processing if you're in a hurry.
Okay.
They offer a free consultation up front, which is good for figuring out what you actually need. And you can securely upload documents online for them to review first.
Uploading seems handy. Streamlines things.
Definitely cuts down on initial back and forth, probably.
And what about cost? Bureaucratic processes can sometimes have, hidden fees. Is it clear?
They claim affordable and transparent rates. And interestingly, one source gets specific about marriage certificates.
Oh, yeah.
It says pricing starts at just under $150, including government fees. Mentioning the government fee is included in the starting price does suggest they're aiming for transparency there.
That's helpful detail. And if someone listening wants to check out this specific service from the sources directly, contact info.
Yep, it's provided. The phone number is 978-424-4629, sometimes listed internationally as +1 978-424-4629.
Okay.
Website is apostilledepot.com, and the email is info@apostilledepot.com.
Great. So let's circle back. We've gone through the what, why, which documents and how this service works according to your sources. What does this all boil down to for you, the listener who sent these in trying to understand this?
Well, I think the main takeaway from this material is seeing how these specialized services are basically offering themselves as a solution, a way to handle what looks like a pretty daunting international requirement.
Right.
They were providing a pathway, promising speed, promising expertise, positioning themselves as a kind of shortcut, really.
A shortcut to bypass the potential confusion, the delays, maybe the errors of trying to navigate all the different government offices yourself.
Exactly. The sources suggest their aim is to take that burden off your shoulders, handling every step of the process with precision, saving you time and eliminating errors. That's a direct quote.
It really highlights how, for these specific, sometimes complex international steps, there are businesses designed just for that, to make that part of your global journey, smoother, more predictable.
Yeah, turns a potential headache into just another item on the checklist, hopefully.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive into your sources, we've looked at what an apostille actually is, that Hague Convention key for getting documents recognized internationally.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the wide range of reasons you might need one, and the types of documents involved, from personal stuff like birth certificates to business papers.
Right, quite a variety.
And we've examined how a specific service highlighted in your materials, Apostille Depot, presents its approach, aiming to tackle the complexities head-on, offering speed, precision, notary, translation, basically a worry-free package.
Turning that potential bureaucratic hurdle into, ideally, a seamless step for your international plans.
It definitely shows how specialized needs create specialized solutions.
Absolutely.
So we've seen how one service frames itself to make document authentication easier. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other complex international requirements or bureaucratic processes out there might also benefit from this kind of dedicated, detail-focused help?
That's a really interesting thought to leave with. Where else could this model apply?
Something for you to think about as you navigate other cross-border procedures.